Hello and welcome. Let's take a look at the charts. First, I'm going to adjust the screen so it fits from your perspective. Start with the normal intro, all bets, trades of the like within each one's own risk and their own reward. And in reality, how can you make gains if you don't take the chance to do such? It's just understanding where does greater probability come into place. Ethereum crossed against Bitcoin. I mean, it's down a lot since where it was. And everyone's talking about, oh, where's the bottom? And, oh, is the bottom here? No, it wasn't. Was the bottom in here? Down back in October? No, it wasn't. Is the bottom back down in this bottom area here? Maybe. But also, maybe not. For it tried to revert the trend last time amongst here. And we can see how it showed weakness on the 18. Even this day here, at least within the Bittrex exchange, it came down to this low. And then fast move from this failed move. So this rally is either going to be one of the two things. Either reversal of trend that is, or a failed breakout, which would most likely lead to, well, something like we've seen in November and December. We look at this from like a long-term point of view. We're at the lower end of the support that came into place ever since the great 2017 rally. It didn't spend much time here at the bottom. And that's what the range has done. Spend time from where it came from back in here. And amongst this more longer term chart, it's got a ways to go still for it to revert its trend. For it's just coming up for these till a second time to the declining 18. Bear markets can take a while to stop, but the fact of the matter is in here that after it had the conclusion of this correction, for it to have even just a second attempt makes it a little bit easier for the chances of a bottom to occur anytime, not only in the near time frame, but the price mainly more than anything. So therefore, looking at this again via the fact of, or via the time frame of that on the daily, each day paints an interesting picture on the story, starting of course within the first noticeable green candle up, which made the price go from the 8, actually even from here for that matter, because we can see it got up to the short-term level of resistance on December the 16th and came back to its correctionary area. But on the 17th, it managed to break that level, close near the 18 average of highs, extending it the next day. And the next day after that, on the 19th, it had the red candle down day, but it also went a little higher as well. So it continued going higher, pulling back within the day. And so there's your attempt to revert the trend. Now, in some forms, you could say, well, that was established resistance, back to support, and it's already broken it now. But either way, the bottom line is the resistance that it had, we've had these 2 points in here. It really does look as if it's going to be breaking above. And marginally on this chart, I can tell that this high is higher than this one. 4-hour chart. And it's consistently been finding amazing support amongst the 18 average of lows from when it left off from the sideways at the 1500 timestamp, December 15th. Did so once, leg higher. Twice, leg higher. 3 times, leg higher. And now it has just completed its 4th time. But right now it hasn't had, I mean, yes, technically it is a leg higher, but not really. Tops and bottoms are known after the fact. And this thing could potentially still get going and break above and have a good gain. But if it doesn't, that means the 18 average will go sideways. It's already had a good run with amongst its time frame. And it means on the daily chart, it will do what it needs to do, and that is correct more within this 18, something it could very easily do. But looking at this, no surprise if it doesn't do such and has further gains. So because of that, if it breaks above this resistance handily, then I'm going to be thinking there's a good chance that it could have a good leg higher. Here's a perfect example of holding and staying above where you have to. This is the 18 average of lows here. And it did hold and stay above the 18 lows. There was this major selling that did A, show a big break below, a big leg below from the lows. B, maintain a higher low from the breakout point. So thus, on like the 2-3 hour charts, 4-hour charts, it's where support comes in. And then after doing this is me saying it held and stayed above the 18 lows. It resisted for a little bit, got above it, and now back within it. So now we're having that within the correctionary test. And if it can hold and stay above this short term, then hey, things would be looking pretty good. Let's next take a look at Doge on multiple time frames. And within the 5-minute, when you see these 1 Satoshi coins, when you can tell where the bid and ask prices were. That's what I like about looking at these, because we can see that on here, that means that the 62 bid got taken out, which meant that it went from a 63 ask to a 61 bid, and the 62 sell prices would have came in. And here it got taken out again, and it's just I just find them really interesting more than anything. And then you just got to scroll them out so you can start to see a little bit more. You can see more of the bid ask where they would break the 1 Satoshi level. Within the single hour term, now we're starting to get some interesting market movements, and you can see how when you do your trades, at least within my strategy, there was a spot to sell this higher. I was trading this against Bitcoin and then Litecoin, and then I stopped doing so, and I'm trading this now against XBY only. But anyway, throwing that part aside, the price action has, you can see, has this little rally, but it got rejected really quickly. As in such, there's your green rally, red candle down, right to the 18, which is fine, because within such, you're always going to get people who are going to be taking profits. And furthermore, if there is a lack of bidders as a rally comes in, because before this happened, the amount of bids available below 66 is low. So the rally goes up and the sellers come in and they buy at 66 all the way up to over 80. So after this has happened, the only bids available north of that number were ones that were placed within the last hour or however many minutes it was since the time it broke resistance. So if there's a lack of bidders, then having a move like this is not that much of a surprise. But now can it hold and stay within its gains? And we can see that it obviously is not doing that. Let's look at this on the 4-hour time frame next, and there we can see that clear situation. To me, it needs to hold and stay above this general area at best. Just looking at that, it's not doing so as of yet. It means that anything you can sell up here, you got your buybacks already. If you sell at 82 and buy back at 62, that's a decent size gain. On the daily chart, this is where things start to get a little interesting, because we had the big rally in September, 37 to over that of 100. So a 3x move, giving the vast majority of it back down to 45. There's that last lower high rally to the 110. And now it's at the key area. It just has to hold. It might, and it might not. If it's bearish, usually you're going to get this thing to at least move sideways, or maybe come up to the 18 highs or a little above before it eventually falls over, and then do something like we've seen in September and October, just stay within the 18 average and then go down. Of course, this is a much different rally than the September one. That was just straight up in like just a matter of a few days. But this is what the Doge market is just an up and down, choppy action situation. It's just, that's all it is. And it's getting very symmetrical on the long-term time frame. But what's good about it, of course, buy low, sell high. It works for the strategy that I talk about really, really good. So you have this low and you have this low. These are matching lows. Then amongst this high, we have this high in here. And this one obviously is higher than this. These matching lows, several hit, is higher than these. This one, it's a matching one, but this one here, I hate to call it matching. I'd rather call it lower. Normally, based on price, it is matching because it's a very large hair above this line, but it didn't spend much time down here. It's already went towards here, so I see still that any type of symmetrical move of the upside when that bias is towards such is still in play. So it'll be interesting as we move in, and how long we take. I look at something that should take like about this long. So August to now was like what, 4 or 5 months. So sometime within by the summer next year. But as it stands, on a break, it's got one of two situations either way, and it could do both of them back and forth. Who knows which one first, and maybe even multiple times back and forth. But you really got to think, at least on a conservative level, a test up to this level. Why conservative? Well, breaking this resistance, that's where the next leg would be. But, I mean, you can make new highs, and if it gets above here, maybe you can get to 400 or 500. And then if this support level gives in, I would be expecting a decent sized decline. For now, maybe you might find support here at 14 Satoshi. But then this thing might go down the 1-2 level, where you have the bid ask, where if you want to sell, you have to sell at 1, buy at 2. That's about the second lowest it gets on the Bitcoin exchanges. Now, the lowest it gets is where you have to buy at 1 and you can't even sell it. I've seen that before. It's been a while since I've seen an exchange that's had that. I don't really look for them either. But that's where the ask price is 1 Satoshi and you can't bid lower than that. And in those situations, then you start trading this amongst the smaller exchanges like the Doge. Well, this is a Doge exchange. Like the LITECOINs exchanges. And maybe there might be a Verge exchange or a Ripple exchange. And even on Ripple, you might be seeing that get to 20 Satoshi. But that's where it goes when it goes way, way lower. So to me, breaking down below this at least would be a test of the previous low area of around 15, sort of like on the upside in the high 100s. And then just like breaking to this to wherever it may go, 4, 5, 6, 700, breaking down below here means you're entering the 1-2 game. And I don't mean poker blinds. Let's next look at Omi's Go, ticker symbol OMG, which on the daily term time frame after its last leg lower, we can see it broke major support at around the 48 down to the 46 handle, has then since bottomed down around the 33, and now it's made an attempt to revert trend. Stage 1 band flattening out, it's done that. So resistance has been established within this area. Some might say it's a little low, but I have to say it's high enough. It's definitely noticeable above this high, and even noticeable above the 18 average of highs. So getting above this could be a very interesting situation. And when shortening out this time frame, within the 4 hour, we have the resistance successfully holding here but unable to break through, which should have done it here. However, after that failure, it came down at this point but didn't break down. Then it came down in here successfully with the lows, did not break down. Had several attempts resisting amongst the 18 in here, but finally broke out for a beautiful leg higher, establishing a level of resistance now twice hit amongst this level, because it had a few pause quad hours for our 4 periods or 3 periods going sideways like this. Had the opportunity here, but then sold off and came back close to where it came from, but not quite, but did go down the 18 average of lows. And as I'm looking at this now, just over the last couple of periods, it's making an attempt and trying to get above this 18 average. So if I can see this firmly stay and hold, but basically go to the 40 number and hold and stay above from that point on, there's definitely good reason it might be ready to break higher. And even amongst the single hour, there's the support in here, but the market band goes sideways, and now it's just been grinding its way higher, getting above, of course, these more shorter term levels. Now it's got to get above this one from here, and it seems poised any time to do so. But let's move on to the next coin, and that will be QTOM. And last few days has been really interesting, how it's a nice choppiness, just going sideways. Not as volatile over the last couple of days, but well, ever since this green candle, to have like 3 very good volatile follow sessions and staying above this 18 average of highs, If this fails, then it's got the 18 average of lows that I'd be looking at next at its next level of support. Currently that's in at the 525 handle, and that number is rising, which means that the next day it would be higher than such if it doesn't do it then. And obviously it doesn't have any major price corrections down. I mean, I say major, that's even like 552. And 4-hour term time frame amongst this, we can see a lot of this sideways action. And when you have market doing this, you've had a lot of support resistance at key areas. Support is so noticeable. It pierced above and below it, but that never did anything much more, didn't hold and stay above it. Resistance, not as much. You got this higher level point here, and then this level. So it's double layer of resistance. And that means if it's going to break this, that means you're looking to go up here. And if you end up breaking this support and you're looking to go down next leg lower, well, you already came back to this resistance. So this congestion area and previous resistance here is around the 518 mark. But that's, of course, if it's unable to, if it breaks down, that is. And getting above here, sometimes it doesn't work too well, because that's what happened back here. So it looked really good that it was breaking out. And one measure that this is what was my thinking back from like 2009 and how to play stops if you just let the market tame itself through, or let it go grind through when things don't work out for you. Because sometimes you say, I want to put a stop like right here, and you can see how you got your ass kicked, and then the stop loss would have been hit. So therefore you already see that it didn't have quite such a good move. But it's okay to come and support this key area here. It's done it a lot deeper, hence the reason why very easily you could get stopped out. But after waiting time and seeing this, you're like, okay, now that I've had this point established, it's had a decent amount of time to congest in this area. This is the time. This is the area where I do want to put a stop. So maybe you would put one at like 550 or 551 or something. As the potential area, because again, you might go long in a play like this and give it the benefit of the doubt that it's going to have this short-term correction, sort of like in here. Anybody who went long here didn't sell, or at least only sold a little bit. If they ended up selling on the way down because they thought that rally failed, well, the 18 average never said it was failing, and it didn't fail at that time anyway. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.